Sometimes things just don't make sense, like why am I indoors with my hood up? Why am I punching a puppet version of myself in the face that also has a moustache? Why is this Care Bear always grumpy? This is especially true when it comes to professional wrestling, and we all know this because you've been there, I've been there, your nan has been there, because you'll be watching something in WWE and one of two things will happen. Firstly, it will just vanish as if it was a ghost, or two, the big answer to the whole shebang will be, it was Hornswoggle. Now, it would be fine if there was any reason for it to be Swogs, but there wasn't. It was just WWE pulling stuff out of their ass because they didn't have a long-term plan. And sometimes the story would actually be putting faces into somebody's ass because we had a Vince McMahon ass club. I mean, why do we even watch? Anyway, the point is, WWE is about to make sense forever. Why? Here's why. We all know that WWE is now under a new regime led by Triple H, and if we look at the evidence, it does seem like one Paul Levesque actually agrees with us and believes that stories should have a start, a middle, and an end, which is why he has just hired a long-term creative storytelling director. In short, though, we now have someone who's going to be responsible for coming up with longer-term narratives, but also making sure that we don't veer into the sea when all we had to do was turn right. Even better, this person is Robert Fee, and you may not know this, but trust me, when you do some research, I think this sounds like a good plan. For starters, he is buddies with Bray Wyatt, and store that in your head because we shall get to it later, but his CV also tells us that he's worked for the likes of Disney and he's worked for the likes of Marvel Comics. He's also been involved with the likes of Spider-Man, Daredevil, and the Avengers. And don't pretend that doesn't make you all tingly-tangly. Who the hell would want to be involved with them? Why this matters so much is because if you are into graphic novels, you know there are some similarities when it comes to wrestling, in the sense that they can just go absolutely bonkers with their stories, but also they never end. They are infinite. I mean, anything can just go mad at any given time, which is why you can go out there and read a tale about Batman teaming up with a dog, and how the hell did that ever come to be? When you do get to those levels, it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. I mean, just go reread Civil War. So now when, let's say, Karrion Kross has to vanquish Drew McIntyre, and they end up in the loser can never eat cheesecake again match, if Karrion does get defeated and his shoulders are pinned to the mat for the 1, 2, 3, we are never going to see him eat a cake of cheese again. Well, basically, to relate it to wrestling, you probably can start investing in stipulations again, and just trusting the product a little bit more. And how many times have we all fallen in the floor over that? A lot. So now if you can build that back up, I think it's going to make you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. This has already started too, because apparently Fee has been the guy behind all those White Rabbit skits we've seen recently, or at least he's been driving them, which is what people in the industry like to say. And in fact, some people have said, oh no, he wasn't on full time, but he did come up with this story, he did push it, and everybody was so impressed they said, Rob, come here, you got the gig. And I think we can all agree this is one of the best things that WWE has done in years, and yes, I know there's the contingent who shout, no, Simon, it should have been revealed on that first SmackDown because it did a mega number, but I say screw the mega number, there will be plenty of other mega numbers, because what we're doing is re-educating the audience that it's about patience and that WWE is now going to take their time. And I would much prefer that, because sometimes what they used to do is they go, oh, here's a story, and then 2 seconds later they go, oh, it's done. I mean, do you remember when CM Punk was gone for an afternoon? So do I. He'll be reporting into Bruce Pritchard if you care about those things, and you don't even have to have one of those old worries where you're like, oh my gosh, they just hired that person because they have experience in a different field, but they hate wrestling. This is not true. Robbie is a big fan. Some people have even referred to this as his dream job, and I think that is crucial when it does come to the world of sports entertainment. If you don't have the passion, I just don't really think you can get it. And that's mostly because it is a weird business, but let's not worry about that for the time being and go back to something that Mr. Fee did a few years ago when he went to WWE HQ and was all like, hi, I'm gonna pitch you a movie involving The Fiend. Now, this actually raised a lot of eyebrows because the execs were like, oh, that actually sounds pretty good. The only reason we didn't pull the trigger on this because somebody fired Bray Wyatt, so it would have been impossible. I think now, too, we can take all of this and say, surely, just surely, the White Rabbit has to be Bray Wyatt, because look at all the circumstantial evidence that has just come out of my mouth when I'm waffling. I mean, if it's not Bray, people are going to have a meltdown. As I've said before, I will absolutely love it, because I'm mostly here for the chaos. This is for all 3 brands, too, so hopefully it means going forward, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT will have more synergy. And yes, you're allowed to now hate me because I used the word synergy. But I really do think this is a positive mood, especially when a damn show is going on for 52 weeks a year. Because if you are going to watch every single time, you want your loyalty rewarded. You want to be able to go, oh, deep down in my Tootsie Toes, I feel good now because I remember when this happened 7 weeks ago. And now, like I say, given I have stayed the course, it has paid off for me. As opposed to, I don't know, when you're constantly kicked in the teeth, just start to feel like a sad panda. I mean, we can even tie this back into Wyatt because he has come up a lot. Do you remember when he just popped on screen one day with a veil over his head and said, oh, I'm Sister Abigail now? Did we ever find out why that happened? No. Remember that time Kevin Owens got hit in the face with the pie? Did we ever find out who did that? No. I mean, who tried to kill Vince McMahon when he was doing his $1 Million Mania giveaway and the stage just fell to the floor? Did we ever find out who did that? No. Why was Shelton Benjamin doing promos and then staring off into the distance like he just figured out the secret of life? The answer is, I don't know, and I never want to not know again. I mean, it doesn't mean I have to like it. It doesn't mean that everything has to be good, but my gosh, if it all connects together, I'm going to have a field day. It really is something that all promotions could benefit from, and not just WWE. So I, for one, welcome our new Director of Long-Term Creative, and hope that it's something that stays around forever. I mean, do you know how excited I am for wrestling to actually make sense for once? Well, I tell you, it's around about 50-50, and the first 50 is bigger than the second 50, but I do like a bit of nonsense in my wrestling, but we don't have to worry about that going away entirely. I mean, for goodness sake, scissor me daddy ass. Ultimately, I think this may actually hark back to the Attitude Era, where it felt like everybody had a concurrent storyline that would go on week to week to week, and that is what the roster needs now. I don't care if you're main event or opening match or in the mid-card. I want to be able to invest and know that that's an okay thing to do. And as far as I can tell, that's what Rob's job is. Hence why I'm making this video and saying ooh-da-lally. Now, it won't work. It will be absolute gibberish all of the time. But look, we've had that for the last 20 years. I can handle it for a few more. Now, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about all of this. Maybe you don't like the role. Tell me why. That's what the comments are for. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then let's go over to whatculture.com. We can read wrestling articles and news. That's great. Then we can go to social media at WhatCulture WWE and Simon Miller 316. I know, Simon, you nerd. You put 316 on your Twitter name. Yes, I'm an absolute idiot. And then we can stay on YouTube and we can click and watch other videos. I don't care if you click and then you just leave. YouTube doesn't know, it'll think you watch. My name is Simon What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And now we cross our arms and we shall watch this with a fine-tooth comb, which is not the saying, but I've said it anyway. And if I can do another video, like a recap in 12 months going, oh man, all these long-term storytelling rocked, I will be a happy man. Let's watch this space.